Tell us about the pioneering technology that U of I is doing to improve forest management and also sustainability here in our state.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So for 100 years, we've been measuring trees the same way, over 100 years. We walk into the woods, we identify a place on the map, we go out there and we hug a tree with a tape and we measure how big it is. We use that we've been using that for forever to understand how tall a tree is, sort of the health and characteristics of the tree. That's worked for a while, but really what we're doing now is deploying all sorts of technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital technologies that really allow us to understand the forest through each individual tree. So we can go and measure every single tree in a forest now by using a variety of technologies that we have at our disposal.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so before it was very hands-on, on the ground, if you will, for centuries. Now we're actually starting this whole new process, which is super exciting. Tell us more about the technologies that you are using.
Yeah, so we've been measuring trees using satellites for a long time. So we can take a satellite imagery and we can deploy the technology to understand sort of where those trees exist across the landscape. But what's exciting right now with this new advances of data and technology, new optics and other technology, we're able to penetrate the canopies of a forest to understand sort of the tree structure, how big a tree is, how tall it is, what's happening or on the ground underneath those trees. We're using that with primarily with LiDAR. So if you can imagine, we're shooting literally millions of photons from fixed-wing aircraft or from drones down through a forest canopy. So we're not going through a tree, but we're able to sort of find all those spots on a tree and gaps and go down and really create what we call a digital representation or a digital twin of what a forest looks like.
Yeah, so imagery.
Imagery.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what does that mean though for the lumber industry and the logging industry?
In the past, we only knew a little bit about a sample of a forest. And so maybe if we were trying to understand what the logging industry needed for timber or whatever the question might be, we only really knew detailed information for an area. Now with this new imagery, we're able to really do this over thousands and even millions of acres at a time.
Wow.
So if you can imagine, we know every single tree across the landscape. So even thinking here in Boise, I could fly a drone over Boise and I could tell you where every single tree and bush is and its characteristics with a resolution of about a meter. Anything over about a meter tall, I can do that. So applying that to the forest products industry really helps us to, well, it provides information so that they know more about how the trees, where they exist in the forest, how big they are, which trees we should cut, which trees we should not cut.
Their health.
Their health.
Yeah. And
so all this information is also really critical for wildlife and for fire modeling.
Absolutely.
So if you can imagine this information, from a fire standpoint to, really understand how trees relate to each other across the landscape and the topography, we can understand how fire will move across the landscape, its in relation and proximity to human populations and the health risk associated with that.
That's massive.
Or from a wildlife standpoint.
Yeah.
We can really connect that habitat for certain species of wildlife.
All this comes together to really create basically a healthier forest, right?
Yeah. So what we're really trying to do at the University of Idaho through this smart forestry approach is what we call it, is really more holistic management. There's always been a holy grail forest management, but for just lack of information, we really just manage for an individual species of wildlife or an individual species of tree often, or just for wildfire. Now we're trying to manage all those things at one time, and we can do that.
Because they all relate.
They all relate.
Yeah, that's amazing. And this is being developed at the University of Idaho. Here in Idaho, what role do the students play when it comes to the technology?
Yeah, it's really all about the students at the end of the day. That's why we exist. I like to say we're Idaho's university, which means our land grant mission is to provide training for students in all of these areas. Really what we're doing with the students is not just training them though, but we're using them and deploying them in our research. So they're using the technology, they're pushing us to learn new technology. Sometimes they know more than we do. And so that's a lot of fun, really, just being able to use them, because they're our future leaders, they're our future professionals. We do lots of research. It is sort of the mainstay of our position within the state. But really what's important in that is the industry partnerships and the agency partnerships that are part of that. They're working with us, hand in glove with the students. They're hiring our students to really bring this information, these ways of doing forest management into the workforce. And that's what's really rewarding for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Where can our viewers go so they can learn more? And you never know, there might be some future students watching right now.
Yeah, well, I hope so. You can go to uidaho.edu. Obviously, there's lots of information there. The College of Natural Resources, we have lots of resources. We're just so excited to tell everybody about this great new way that we do things.
Super exciting, Dennis.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.